So this one, Xu Lao Hezang, is a very interesting biography for our sharing. But what is interesting is he meditated until he has a lot of psychic ability. Middle of the night, when he opened his eyes like broad daylight. So this manifestation, as you all have heard, is called in the Theravada tradition the 10 defilement of insight. Uh, uh, and this 10 defilement of insight can trap cultivator. So if you think all this state, like the manifestation of light, is called obasa, you associate it with special meditative experience and you equate it to enlightenment, then you can be trapped in this type of experience. That's why they call it defilement of insight. It's actually a good progress, a state of mind that is wonderful after developing that type of meditation, which is mainly energy field type, where you develop very deep concentration, absorption and all those things. So what happened is, sometimes for Theravada tradition, more common type of seeing light illumination is the nimitta that you see. That one is quite common. Then sometimes it's like Xu experience. He can like walk very far, like can fly, feel very light. Then like throughout the day, mindful away. But the trouble with cultivation is, like he described, luckily he knew that these are not what they call something very rare that you should be able to equate it to enlightenment, because they all under the Mahayana tradition, they have studied the 50 Divan Samadhi that is explained in the Surangama Sutra, Leng Yan Jing, Wu Si Ying Mo. According to Surangama Sutra, Leng Yan Jing, each and every aggregate of our mind can manifest 10 defilement, or what we call Mara. So this 50 deviant samadhi is a type of samadhi, but it's not the one that bring about enlightenment. That's why we call it deviant. But they are very, very powerful meditative experience that one can encounter or manifest and develop the like transformation. So despite all this, luckily he knew that is not the way, that is Divan Samadhi, but he continued with his cultivation. Then what happened is he investigated who is mindful of the Buddha. This is based on a Gong'an. You heard of Gong'an or not? You never heard of Gong'an? The Zen have a famous Gong'an teaching where he gives you the inquiry so that it can like point you towards the inquiry that can lead to enlightenment. So one of the famous one is 谁在念佛? Who is reciting the Buddha's name? Or in this particular case is who is mindful of the Buddha? So he continued to inquire, you see. So when he continued to inquire, he doesn't know how to relax into it and silence everything and let the nature arise and let the understanding from the nature develop the transformation or insight so that he can awaken. So what he did is he like keep on trying to inquire, like want to know. So that inquiry, if you done it that way, it will not lead to enlightenment, awakening. Because it's thought based. The thought want to know. The thought want to develop the understanding. What you should do is, when you receive the Kong-an, like contemplation, you just throw it up and inquire. Once you inquire, after that, you don't hold on to it or attach to it or cling on to it. Just like the second turning wisdom. Why did the Buddha say birth is suffering? Old age, sickness and death is suffering. Then all the other related reality are suffering. So the inquiry will allow you to develop the second turning wisdom if you don't hold on to it. You just reflect. Why is birth suffering? So what must you reflect? Huh? What must you reflect? You must reflect and recollect on the birth process, isn't it? Mindfully recall the birth process. Then as you recall or recollect, then all of a sudden you will come to a point where you realize, oh, no wonder the Buddha said birth is suffering. Especially if you have the experience of, not to say as a man you cannot give birth, isn't it? So you cannot really understand the process, but you can witness it, understand now? And you can, through life experience, learn about it. Then as you recollect, actually not easy. So those who have gone through, like I witnessed, where I'm the second in the family, I saw all those. Then I saw my brother, sister. Then later on, when I come out to work, then when I study the Dhamma, then I reflected on it. Then I realized birth is really suffering. There are a lot of things that can happen. Because we always assume that the ideal birth, of course, everybody look forward to what? The full moon day, to become parents, to become grandparents. You only look at the wholesome or smooth sailing aspect of birth, understand? But you have not really encountered a situation where there is complication during the birth process, before the birth process and during the birth process. Then if it's so bad until the ONG doctor or specialist came out and tell you, you have to make a decision. You want to save the child or the mother? That is the dilemma. Understand? That's why that is very traumatic and that can bring about suffering. Then the attachment, the grandparent, the parent have expectation of their first child, especially the olden days Chinese tradition. The first baby, if it's a boy, worth a lot more. So all this will manifest. But if the birth got complication, the in-law suffer, the parent also suffer, the grandparent, and all those that have relationship with you also suffer. So when you recollect the birth process, then you see the reality of life and existence, and how all this can bring about suffering through delusion. When you don't understand, you attach, you cling. And that one will give you wisdom. So likewise, when you contemplate who is reciting the Buddha's name or mindful of the Buddha, 谁在念佛? You don't go and hold on to the thought and keep on wanting to know, understand? You reflect. Then you inquire inside, understand, within. Who is that I that is chanting? Is there a being that give rise to the chanting. It's just like your thought. Yeah? The thought. Is there a thinker behind the thought? I ask you. Huh? How many of you say yes? Huh? Nobody. You have to ask the opposite. How many of you say no? So those who say no, I want you to explain. Why there is no thinker behind the thought? Not logical, isn't it? Society always talk about logic, isn't it? Huh? They say there must be a thinker behind the thought, isn't it? Otherwise, how can you think? How can you manifest thought? You mean the mano? Huh? There is a thinker behind that create that thought. The physics experiment already explained to you, isn't it? Everything is based on nature's condition, isn't it? When the conditions are all in proper order, you on the switch, the light bulb light up, understand? It's natural. So do you think you need to have a thinker to create thought? You think there is a God behind your thinking? That's why find out, investigate. This is meditation. Use your pure awareness to find out. Then you realize, even through simple logic, you know. The baby, newborn baby, no thought, understand? Why? They cannot create thought. Because there is no brain with the memory, understand? With the knowledge, with the conditioning. So if you understand this, then you realize thought arises through memory. Thought is respond to memory. Then through your awareness you realize if it's something not in your knowledge, not in your memory, you cannot label it, you cannot give it a name, you cannot create a thought out of it, understand? Then when you silence your mind with the inner awareness, then you realize all of your thoughts, they are dependent originating, condition arising, causal phenomenon. That's why I saw it.